Howdy folks, I'm Breezy Beach Badgers, boldly building bumpy bamboo beach nuts.
I'm Amber.
And here are more bumpy bamboo beach nuts for us to build. So let's get started on that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Messaging the Airbnb Host About Guests Blowing Off Fireworks? I live across the street from an Airbnb. For the past 4 years, I haven't had a single issue, and have actually recommended the home to my visiting family. Yesterday, from 9:30 p.m. to 12 a.m., the Airbnb guests intermittently blew off large, loud fireworks. I had just gotten off a 6-hour flight when I got home at 9, and I rolled my eyes at the first few, but when one went off and woke me up at 10:45, I shouted out the window, "Shut up, some of us have work and are trying to sleep, you jerks." Clearly not my finest moment. They continued to blow off fireworks for another hour and a half. After a large explosion that shook my house and woke me up again at 12 a.m., I found the Airbnb listing and I messaged the host that their guests were blowing off fireworks and that I had a Ring camera footage of it. The hosts have since asked for the footage, and now I'm wondering if I would be the jerk if I provided them. In the moment, I felt very justified, but now I kind of feel bad that someone could get in trouble. But also, if they started again tonight, I would be annoyed that I didn't send it. Admittedly, I'm real grumpy when I get woken up, and I also have a really fearful dog who has heart problems, and they have been shaky and hiding all last night and this morning. It's usually not a problem because none of our close neighbors do fireworks. Edit, I sent the video. Thanks for the input. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely not the jerk. I mean, first of all, it could be a safety hazard, like depending on how they are setting off the fireworks. The Airbnb host should know what's going on in their property in case there could be damage from the fireworks.
Yeah.
Secondly, like if they are violating noise ordinances and whatnot, whatever the terms of the agreement are, they need to be following that. And if they're making it hard for other people to sleep and they're making things bad for animals, this isn't their own private space. This is a space they're renting and they have to abide by the rules of that space.
Yeah, not to mention like the insurance and stuff like that. Like this might increase insurance premiums if strangers are at their house lighting fireworks and stuff like that. I mean, I imagine that the Airbnb host would love to know about these people. And I know that OP's like, well, I wouldn't want to get them in trouble. Well, do you want your dog to have heart problems and have them aggravated or anything like that?
Well,
the answer is no, right?
And also, you're not getting them in trouble.
No.
They are getting themselves in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's through their own actions. You ask them to maybe not nicely stop lighting off fireworks, but they continue to do it, right? Maybe OP could have asked them a little bit kinder, and I think like that would have been a little more reasonable, but I also understand their frustration in the moment. No one wants to get woken up in the middle of the night to loud explosions, right? So I think that OP, while frustrated in the moment, they are still in the right for, reporting these people because they should have known better than to fire off fireworks anyways, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wanting to Pay for My Fiance's Wedding Band? I'm a 26-year-old female and my fiance, a 27-year-old male, just got engaged. He proposed to me with a ring that he designed with a jeweler. Much to my surprise, he revealed that he had already picked out his wedding band from the same jeweler, so he could wear one during our engagement. I was surprised because men in heterosexual relationships don't typically wear engagement rings, and we had never discussed him doing so. Still, while it was unconventional, I appreciated that he was excited to show that he was engaged to me and didn't think much of it. Well, while discussing the expenses we each covered for our engagement trip today, he casually remarked, "You also owe me $1,500. When I asked why, he said it was for his wedding band. I was immediately taken aback and assumed that he was joking. I couldn't imagine that he actually expected me to pay for a ring that I didn't know that he was buying, had no input on the budget for, and didn't even help choose. But he insisted that he was serious, explaining that because he paid for my engagement ring, it was also only fair that I pay for his wedding band. He pointed out that my engagement ring cost about $5,000, so asking me to contribute $1,500 towards his seemed reasonable to him. Fundamentally, I don't have a problem paying for my fiance's wedding band. In fact, I've purchased meaningful and expensive jewelry for him before as an expression of my love, and I would genuinely consider it an honor to choose his wedding band together and contribute to that purchase. I can also comfortably afford the $1,500. What bothers me is the principle of the situation. I feel that it was inconsiderate for him to assume that I would be paying for his wedding band / engagement ring without discussing it with me beforehand. It's not the cost itself that concerns me, it's the expectation and entitlement. I don't think that it's fair to assume that I'll pay for something when I was never consulted or even aware that it was an expectation of me. My fiance was really hurt by my reaction and is disappointed that I was hesitant to pay for his ring, especially since he invested so much thought, time, and money into choosing my engagement ring. At first, I felt strongly that he was wrong to assume that I would pay for his ring without discussing it first. But the more that I've thought about it, the more I understand why he's hurt that I didn't show the same enthusiasm for buying his ring that he showed when buying mine. Am I the jerk for not wanting to pay for my fiance's engagement ring and thinking that he is in the wrong for expecting me to do so? Edit, I realize that there is some confusion over my usage of the terms engagement ring and wedding ring for my fiance's ring. To clarify, he will wear the same ring that will serve as an engagement ring during our engagement and our wedding ring during our marriage. So just one ring in total. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. He is spending your money without your consent. Like, it would have been one thing if when you were talking about getting engaged, he's like, oh, I would also like to get an engagement ring. And then you could talk about what he wants and come up with a budget together, and you design the ring like he designed your ring.
Yeah.
But the way this works is he decided, I'm going to get this ring, and then told you after the fact, oh, by the way, you owe me money.
Yeah, I mean, and I would be cautious because what other areas is he going to do this with in the relationship? I mean, that he can just unilaterally decide to spend your money whenever he wants to, right? And I think it sets a bad precedent. I think that OP shows here that they are more than willing to buy him a ring. They would love to be a part of that process. But I think that needed to be a conversation before he bought the engagement ring, before he bought his own wedding band. And I understand that maybe he is interested and excited about this marriage, but he, again, can't just assume that OP is going to be fine without being consulted in the least, right? As far as I'm concerned, he bought himself an engagement ring, which is perfectly fine. But if he wanted OP to pay for it, then OP need to be able to have some kind of input into this, right? And then he could have, like, if they were both looking at engagement rings and wedding bands together, he could have said, oh, I really want this one for an engagement ring, right?
Yeah.
And if there was already that expectation, then OP could have bought it for him. But yeah, I understand OP's frustration here. I think that he is being kind of entitled in this particular case. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling Our 18-year-old daughter that she can't go on a trip to Miami with her boyfriend's family? My daughter is 18 and starts her dream college in a couple of months. For the past 2 years, she has spent almost all of her free time at her boyfriend's house. We've asked her to spend more time with our family, but nothing has changed. Recently, she asked at the last minute to sleep over at a friend's house. We said no because it was so last minute. She turned off her location anyways. The next night, she stayed at her boyfriend's house. At 2 a.m., she called us for a ride home, and when we arrived, his parents had just gotten home from the airport and had no idea that she had been staying there. The next day, we told her that we wanted to have a serious conversation about trust and respect before she went back to her boyfriend's house. While we were in the middle of talking, her boyfriend came to our door and asked her to have dinner. We said no because we were still having the conversation. She left with him anyways. The following day, his parents texted us asking if she could go to Miami with them for their son's tennis tournament. We later learned that they had already bought her a plane ticket before asking us. This isn't the first time. They previously wanted to take her on a 2-day trip, and when we said no because she had a dental appointment, the college orientation, Zoom, and a graduation party, they told us that it would really help their son emotionally because he's having a hard time with her getting into her dream college. Before this, there was a chance that they would attend the same school. At this point, We don't want her to go to Miami. We feel like trust has been broken. Our boundaries have been ignored by both our daughter and her boyfriend's family. And buying a plane ticket before getting our approval crossed the line. We know that she's legally an adult, but she still lives at home. She doesn't pay any rent and has access to a car and phone. And we are getting ready to foot the bill for college, and we're trying to maintain some family boundaries before she leaves. Am I the jerk for saying that she shouldn't go? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, OP, she's an adult. I understand you don't like that she's making her own life decisions, but it sounds like it's not so much like you can't set boundaries on someone else. You can set rules, but since she's 18, she doesn't necessarily have to abide by those rules. There can be consequences for not abiding by those rules. But to talk about this, like, we need family boundaries, these are not family boundaries. What you want is control. And she is an adult. You have to accept to some degree that she can make her own decisions now. And again, you can make choices about whether or not she can continue with living with you based on that, but you cannot stop her from living her life as she wants to.
I think it's time to cut the umbilical cord here. I think that OP assumes wrongly that they can control their daughter's life. Their daughter is their own person, and I understand their frustration that their daughter is going ahead and living her own life, but that's just the reality of the situation. She's an adult, she can live her own life, and she can make her own choices and decisions, and she should make her own choices and decisions. If she wants to go to Miami, you shouldn't have any say in that. She should just say, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to Miami for the weekend, and you should be like, okay, have fun, be safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's an adult. I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that she's an adult, but the reality is, but that won't change anything, right? That she will be an adult for the rest of her life. The thing is, like, if they don't want to pay for her college, or they want to say, have some kind of conditions or something like that, while I don't agree with putting strings on gifts and stuff like that, it's well within their prerogative to say, well, we're not going to pay for your college then. But don't expect her to be coming back to the family with open arms and super excited if you do put conditions on things, right?
Well, exactly, yeah. And, like, I want to note that I agree fully with Brian on this. Like, I don't think that they should be, you adding strings and using this as leverage. I was just noting that technically they are legally allowed to do that.
Yeah. So I think that, again, like, OP can do whatever they want, but what I would suggest they do is actually go into therapy and kind of work on this empty nest syndrome that seems to be cropping up here. I think that they are concerned about their daughter, rightly so. Their daughter is an adult. She's spreading her wings, going out into the dangerous world by herself, and that can cause parents a lot of stress, But that doesn't change anything, and that's an internal problem that OP needs to kind of focus on and work on, and not try to control their daughter's life. I mean, how long is this going to go on for? How many more years are they going to try to put her under their thumb? And I'm guessing for as long as they can possibly do that, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I be a jerk if I report a personal support worker for coming to my grandmother's funeral after I told her not to? Will I be the jerk if I reported my deceased grandmother's personal support worker for attending her funeral after I asked her not to? My grandmother passed away in February. She had the same PSW for 7 years, and after my grandmother passed, this PSW wanted to stay friends with my family. There was a falling out with the PSW, and myself, I told her that she was not welcome to go to my grandmother's funeral due to her disrespect. She showed up anyways because she felt that she deserved and had the right to be there. Now I want to reach out to her work to let them know that she overstepped. My mom asked me not to, as this could mean that she would lose her job, but it was her actions that caused this reaction. For those who want more information, long story short, the PSW's husband was doing contract work for my mom and kept pushing the date that he would be done. 3 days to 3 weeks, the original date beginning in May moved to the end of May. My husband and I were set to move into the space before the end of May, as we were trying to get the old apartment rented out for June and trying to get some extra money back, but he was not done in May, so we pushed it back to the weekend before June. But my mom was out of town for that week. The PSW's husband just assumed that he would have until the end of the day Friday because, quote unquote, we were moving on Saturday, even though my mom had told him that he had to remove all of his stuff by Thursday. He did not. My husband and I moved his stuff to the last room, the laundry room, that he was working on so that we could clean and prep for the move. He was not supposed to start on the laundry room if the main area was not done, but the room was 100% done. I was informed after we moved everything that he texted my mom when she was traveling to state that he would not be back, but he asked if he could. Because the PSW had my number due to the family friend, the thing is that she tried to text me to say that it was disrespectful of me to essentially clean up his mess. This was all while I was at work. I told her that until my mom got back, I didn't want any communication with her as I was not comfortable. Later, she spoke with my mom and was sorry that I had taken it wrong. I told the PSW that she needed to apologize and make things right if she wanted to go to the funeral. 2 days before the funeral, I reached out to see if we could fix things, and she responded at 11 p.m. that she was so busy cleaning and watching TV. I told her that due to the lack of attempt to fix things, she was no longer welcome. She showed up anyways. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if I would be in the wrong for reporting her. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, I think you'd be in the wrong, but I also don't know if you have any grounds there. You have a petty squabble with her husband, and that's all well and good, but that does not mean you have the right to deny someone their opportunity to pay respects to someone they worked closely with for 7 years. I mean, her support worker is probably one of the people she spent the most time with out of anyone, maybe even more than her family. Support workers really can and do form very close relationships with their clients. And it's not right to say you can't come to the funeral because you didn't apologize for this, petty squabble.
What is the OP going to tell the company that the personal support worker works for? She went to a funeral for my grandmother.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, all right, she was mean to me over the phone. I mean, come on now. Yeah, she didn't do anything that was within the capacity of her job that was wrong, right?
Right. And I mean, funerals are often public events.
Yeah.
Like, unless this was a private event and she was trespassing, then, like, you might have a ground to talk to someone about trespassing. I wouldn't recommend that. But again, if this was a public funeral where anyone could come, you can't ban her from a public funeral.
No. And I think, like, even if it was trespassing, they would have had to report it in the moment. Like, she's not there anymore, right? Trespassing. So I don't think that there really is anything that OP can do at this point in time. I know OP feels like this person disrespected them, but OP was trying to use a funeral as leverage to get their way, right? Like, you just sound entitled and like, who does this? Who's like, oh, I'm going to use a funeral as leverage? Like, that's just kind of one of the lowest lows right there, right? So no, I think that OP kind of needs a wake-up call here, and you would be in the wrong if you reported this person. It's a pretty, rotten thing to do. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the coach want to judge on her volleyball team?
Why did the coach want a judge on her volleyball team? Probably just so that she could skew the results of the competition.
To bring order to the court.
Oh, I see. That kind of judge. I thought they meant like a volleyball judge. I don't know. I mean, like an Olympics, like where they hold up the numbers. So, yeah. And I have Mega Mint. And folks, today is a very special day. It's Fireworks Day. So if you want to use fireworks, do it in a responsible, controlled way, and don't be a nuisance to other people. And be safe, and don't mix alcohol and fireworks.
Yes.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on trying to prevent somebody to go to a funeral over a petty squabble.
Don't do that.
Yeah. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.